So here's a video on Cyberpunk 2077 that I didn't expect to be making. Now I fully planned and I fully expected to make a full and proper review of Cyberpunk, but right now I don't feel like it's a good time to do that. Everybody is having such a different experience with this game, and with it being in the state that it's in today, I feel like in 6 months' time, a year's time, however long it might take, it's going to be a completely different game than what it is right now. So what's the point in reviewing the game as it is today? Because for a lot of people, the game isn't ready to be reviewed, it's not ready to be played. For me, it's completely different. It's fine. I'm playing on PC. I had at the start a bit of a bad time with it in terms of crash to desktops, but once I'd verified the files on Steam, it's now working perfectly. So I'm having a great time with this game, don't get me wrong. This isn't a video to just shit all over Cyberpunk 2077. For me, the game is running fine. I'm enjoying the game. It's a great game, but that's for me. I realise at the same time that that's not for everybody, and that's why I don't want to do a review of the game right now, because I don't want to be seen to one be sticking up for the game, and two, to be shitting on the game, because I know I've got to do both if I do a review right now, which maybe is fair. Maybe that is fair, because maybe I should review the game in the state that they released the game in, and maybe the game deserves that sort of review, but it's not my experience of the game, so I don't feel like I can. I've not played it on the last gen. I've got friends who have tried to play it on the last gen, and unfortunately not had a good time of it and refunded the game now, but that's not my experience, so I cannot review the game as a whole right now, because I've not had that sort of experience with the game that many people are having. So I kind of just wanted to throw out the script a little bit for this one. I did have a script written up for the review of my experience of Cyberpunk, and I can still tell you my experiences of Cyberpunk in this video, and I will do as well, but what I can't do is, as I say, give you a full and proper review of the game, because the game's not ready to be reviewed. It's not ready to be played by everybody who CD Projekt Red said the game will be available for. Don't forget, they did say that this game would be available for last gen. In fact, the CEO, Adam Kaczynski, there we go, got his name written down there. Adam Kaczynski, the CEO of CD Projekt Red, said, words from his own mouth, that this game runs, or would run, surprisingly well on the PS4 and the Xbox One. Turns out that's not the case, obviously. So let's get into it. Let's get into a little bit of history. Let's get into a little bit of the timeline of what's been going on with this whole game that stretches back 7 or 8 years now, let's not forget. So, the first time we heard about Cyberpunk was in January 2013, I think I can find, when that first teaser trailer at least was released. The first, not look at the game, but the first look from CD Projekt Red of Cyberpunk. So like I say, that trailer was released in around about January 2013. That's before the PS4 release, which was in November 2013, if I remember rightly. That's before the release of The Witcher 3, which came out in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So that's 2 years before The Witcher 3 came out, we heard about Cyberpunk 2077. So that's 7 years of development on Cyberpunk 2077. So the argument that I'm hearing, that if you're playing on the last gen, you're playing on, especially base last gen, 7-year-old hardware, so why would you expect a 2020 game to run smoothly on 7-year-old hardware? Which, yes, okay, obviously the game has been updated as they've been developing the game, for new hardware, for new technologies, for things like that, yeah, of course, but this game was teased, was announced before the last gen was even released. So this game should have been developed on last gen hardware, okay, to at least run smoothly, properly on last gen hardware. Okay, obviously they don't expect to have, I wouldn't expect to have the same experience that a PC user, PS5 user, a Series S or X user would be having today in 2020, that if I was playing on my PS4, for example, I wouldn't expect to have the same experience, but I would expect to have a playable experience where I can at least make it through the game and not have to give up like a couple of my friends that are playing on PS4 have had to do. They can't play the game in this state. They don't want to ruin that experience for themselves by playing on what they feel is an unplayable game at the minute. So I understand why PS4 players and Xbox One players are so angry, I guess the word is, at the developers, at CD Projekt Red. That doesn't excuse, by the way, any of the behaviour towards the developers or CD Projekt Red that you can see online if you go on any Twitter thread. Again, we're at that point where people are sending death threats. Guys, it's a game at the end of the day. Yes, okay, they didn't release the game in a state that is acceptable to most people or to a lot of people, but that doesn't excuse being a dick. Don't do it, alright? Don't be a dick to people who made the game. Don't do it, okay? Eventually it'll get fixed. Now going on to fans, moving on to fan expectations, maybe? Fan pressure, maybe? Is it fair to suggest that fan pressure maybe caused them to release the game when they didn't, as they did? Obviously, the lead up to Cyberpunk was delay. It should have come out early 2019, 2020, at least early 2020. It got delayed until October 2020, and it was delayed till the actual release date in December. And now a lot of people are saying, well, why don't you just delay the game again? Each time this game was delayed, there was more anger, there was more mockery, I guess you could say. Really? What a great time to start doing whatever they're doing upstairs. Apologies if you can hear that. What are they doing up there? Anyway, each time there was a delay, there is always, same with many games, there is always that level of anger, that level of expectation that gets crushed, that level of disappointment as well. And it's very understandable when you put a release date on a game that people will be disappointed, upset, angry, whatever, when that game doesn't appear on that release date. But at the same time, when they release that game, now we're seeing people saying, well, why didn't you just delay it again? Why didn't you just wait a little bit longer? Why didn't you just hold out until the game was ready and none of this would have happened? I could see it from both sides. From a developer's point of view, I wouldn't want to keep delaying it and putting off those expectations, but at the same time, from a fan point of view, fan experience point of view, should I say, they should have delayed that game until it was ready for everybody. They said in that teaser trailer that I mentioned back in 2013, launched or available when it's ready. Maybe that is CDPR's fault for putting a release date on the game, but at the same time, if there was still no release date after 7 years, what do you think the reaction to that would be? Right, so I see it from both sides, I really do. That's not me sticking up for a company or corporation, of course. Fans deserve a playable game when it's launched. End of, bottom line. They deserve to be able to play the game properly and have a good experience with the game when it is launched. That would be down to CD Projekt Red to take the hit and delay the game again. That's what they should have done until it was ready. End of. For me anyway. That's what they should have done. Which has kind of led us to the point now where Sony offered full refunds and have even taken down the game from the PlayStation Store. This tweet from Matt McMuscles, why can't I say that? This tweet from Matt McMuscles sums it up quite well actually. Sony didn't take down that Black Tiger game. Remember that awful game that Sony endorsed? They didn't take that down from the PS Store. They didn't take Fallout 76 down from the PS Store. They didn't take Anthem down from the PS Store. They didn't take Avengers, whatever. They didn't have terrible buggy games. They were just Fallout 76's case. Let's stick with that. So the Black Tiger game, they didn't take that down, but they've taken this down. This is kind of unprecedented, really. I think the reason for that, not taking a Black Tiger game down and taking Cyberpunk down, is just sort of the weight of expectation that was on it. I mean, no one expects the Black Tiger game to be good, whereas Cyberpunk was labelled, you know, the game of the year before it was released, the game of the generation before it was released. Another thing that I think we need to sort of temper our expectations on a little bit. So I think that's led to the reason why it was taken down. Now, will this game get fixed and put back on? Yeah, of course. Of course it'll get fixed, and of course it'll get put back on to the PlayStation Store eventually, one day, however long that takes. One of my friends asked me the other day, is this the worst launch in history? No, it's not. We're not forgetting Fallout 76, surely. That had all sorts of problems, including the bad gameplay, and including, you know, all the things that went along with Fallout 76, those Nuka whiskey bottles, the helmets, they had asbestos or whatever that we call helmets. The only problem with Cyberpunk is it's in an unplayable state. So was Fallout 76 when it launched as well. So it's not the worst launch in history, and by no means is this the worst game at all. Cyberpunk, when it works, is a fantastic video game. Is it the game of the year? No. No, it's not. It's not the game of the year. It's not the best game this year. It's definitely not the game of the generation. Definitely not the game of the generation. But is it a good game? Yes. And I think this tweet from SkillUp also says it all as well. Once this game is fixed, once the dust settles, and everyone forgets about all this stuff, and it's playable for everybody, nobody will be talking bad about this game because it is an excellent game. My experience of this game has been excellent for 95% of the time. That 5% was a killer, but that's fixed now as well, so I guess I can say 100% of the time this is a great game, and I'm really enjoying it. It's just a shame that this launch and the way that it's launched on last gen consoles sort of blurred people's expectations of the game, and also blurred their expectations, or blurred their, I don't say love, but blurred their expectations of CD Projekt Red as well, because CD Projekt Red have always tried, I feel, to do right by the consumer as much as they can, and this time they failed in that. They haven't done right by the consumer. They haven't, and obviously maybe they need to take a look at how they operate as a company. Crunching their staff is not good, especially now after that crunch for their staff, they still release the game in the state that it is in. So maybe they need an internal look at themselves, and I'm confident that they will have that look at themselves. It's good to see that the devs aren't getting the blame from management, I guess. Management have kind of taken it on themselves and taken the blame on themselves from what I've seen. Maybe there's something that I haven't seen yet that counters that. But yeah, as you can tell, this video is very unscripted. I just wanted to I just wanted to get these ideas off my chest, and just to let you guys know that watch this, that I will eventually do a Cyberpunk review when it's ready. Maybe that should have been something that CD Projekt Red thought about in the long run, releasing it when it was ready. But guys, that'll do for now, I think. I've missed a load of things, so listen, if you watch this, leave a comment below for anything that I've missed out. There's plenty that I've missed out. There's plenty of arguments that I've missed. I know I'm just doing this off the top of my head right now. Plenty that I've missed, plenty that I've still to talk about. Let me know how your experience of Cyberpunk is. If you do leave a comment, if you do see this video, be nice to each other. Don't, go mad. Some people have had a good time with this game, some people have had a bad time, some people want to stick up for CD, some people don't. We all have our own rights and reasons for liking or not liking the company and the game. Alright, as I say, I'm having a great time. I love it. You might not. So let me know. Let's have a chat. Let's have a nice conversation down below. Thank you very much for those of you who have listened and stuck with this. It's been very muddled, I know. Drop a like on the video to help me out. I need all the help I can get at the minute. I'm brand new to YouTube, just started this year. Leave a subscription on the channel as well. And come back next time. See you then.